got ourselves Alonia, gonna be Feral Druid first up versus Last Druid, Feral versus Feral. Let's see which one of those two comes out on top. We got Anhawa Sass over for the team too. I like the fact that she was Xander, by the way. Johnny Bravo on that team, Bonebreaker in the back, and we got ourselves Zath. Can I call you Dan instead? Because as Dan, I like Dan. Because you don't have Dan in the name. As Dan, Zathan. I'm sorry, wait, hold up. You're a bow? Well, I'm actually excited to see Varg play. I'm not going to tell you guys may have noticed already what Varg is doing this round. I'm not going to tell you what he's doing. You might have already noticed, but I want to see how he plays this. I am now interested and invested to see how that's going to go. Lad's going to be out in the open as a bear form, kind of spinning around all over the place. Not his fault, everybody's kind of spinning today. Alonia tried to see if he could potentially reposition. Lad tried to scoot his way out of there. Alonia got quite a few dots on the Lad. Lad doesn't want to close the gap with Alonia. While they got thorns on him, quick bash. Trying to maybe go for a bit of a reset of his own. Full bleeds on Alonia. Alonia may have to pop a bark skin. Does do that. And Last Druid with a wall, trying to get himself a little bit of damage. Big bites onto Alonia as he tries to scoot out of this. Cyclone does try to go for an interrupt. Doesn't quite get it. Cyclone is going to be full as Lad does get seen. Trick inside of it. Let's see if it go worse up for a second. Alonia could maybe be in trouble. Does not have to worry about the interrupts. Got himself full regrowths, but Lad was given the opportunity to get himself some dots set up versus Alonium. My goodness, these fellas are jittering all over the place, but Alonia, through the jitters, through the shivers, does get a bite into Last Druid with, I think it's Johnny Bravo going to be up next. Normally, Arcane Mages don't really do well against Feral Druids, at least as of Shadowlands, but Dragonflight could be a whole nother story. Johnny does go in for Ring of Frost, sitting down for some food. Alonia may swing around the corner, maybe get a couple of Moonfires, maybe try to get a ranged Rake. Does get himself frozen. I think he decided, you know what, I'm just going to get myself CC'd. Meteor coming down with a big Radiant Spark. Does Alonia survive it? Quick roll to Johnny Bravo looking to get out of the Wild Touch and Magic is on him. And Johnny wants to get himself a bit of a setup. Got himself a Canisphere. Does Alonia dodge it? Goes right. I thought it maybe would just go right over his head. But apparently it actually does clip you. I guess the orb is big enough. Johnny tried to see if he could back up, maybe looking to get a kick out of Alonia. Alonia does not have a kick at the moment, so Johnny actually has himself free casting, but it's going to be Alonia trying to get aggressive. All trap up for Johnny, so should be okay. Does get himself a shield. He could go for a Dragon's Breath in case he wants to. Alonia is going to get himself frozen. I think trying to see if he can leap out of that one. Johnny taking out profusely, bleeding out, trying to go for some big damage with Alonia. Does go for a quick wall. Johnny may be in trouble. Does go for an ice block, and Alonia looking for a full reheal. Does he get interrupted? Does Johnny get baited out of that ice block? Meteor coming down, Radiant Spark. Does Alonia have an interrupt for it? He's gonna go for a quick main versus Johnny, but that Blink is gonna keep him moving. Got himself to cast for Alonia. Just gonna be touching the magic, slamming down into Alonia, but not enough damage. Johnny at no help whatsoever. That just has a couple of bleeds taken down on him. This man needs something, anything to help reduce the damage taken. Does drop down for a food quickly, taking a bite out of a mana bun. But I think the man is just down. Yeah, Johnny goes down with the bleeds behind the pillar. Dan gonna be up next. Got himself the Shroud. So Alonia, I don't think they're going to open up while the Shroud is up. Looks like they are going to go for an opener. While the Shroud is up on a Dan, they are immune to any kind of CC. They can still get interrupted with Skull Bash, but they are immune to CC. Living Flame by Dan. He's bleeding out already. Alonia's bleeds just set up the proper bleed opener. All this rips, rakes, and everything. Big bite to follow. Dan looking for recovery, but a bite on Alonia does end up taking him out. I don't think Dan was ready for that go by the Feral Druid. Bone tried to see if he could take down the Feral out of the game. Gonna be a full Bark Skin as well as Thorns Roar for Bone, but he doesn't get deterred at all. With a charge to follow, try to stay on top of Alonia as best as he can, but the Thorns are gonna cripple his movement. Slowed down by quite a bit. Alonia taking a bit of damage is going to go for a full Incarnation. Sound Maim onto Bonebreaker, but the man is undeterred. Reflect up in case there's a root waiting for him. Alonia Bar Shift to try to see if he can break out of slows. Going to be charged around the corner. Leap by the Warrior. Stormbolt to follow. Alonia does not have a trick. He doesn't want to take it down. I think the Warrior may just do it. Does go for the big execute. Taking down the Feral. That's going to be a nice rug to hang on the wall as Magix charges in. Bonebreaker thrown into Quick Fear. Mind Games on him. Wait, did they change Mind Games animation? It's more purple than red now. I think they did, chat. It's more of a mind game, like a purple cloud around your head. Trying to go for maybe more instant cast abilities versus Bonebreaker. Looking to not get interrupted. He's just instant cast and charge him until he devours him in the Shadow Ward Death. Unhoused Assassination charging in. My full mark for death. Stun into magic, but his yard though. Garrote to follow. Trying to see if he can maybe get enough damage. His magic's full dots around him. The priest taken down a little by little. He needs to find a way to deal with the bleeds and the poisons. On how, I don't know if he's used his cooldowns just yet. Magic's to the mind games. His Magic's big shield does get procced. On how cloaks and shadows. Try to see if he can stay on Magic, pressuring that disperse. Does go for the death mark. There it is. Try to replicate all the dots. Big shift, massive envenom. Magic's under pressure. Trying to heal through it, but how taking him down. Quick rogue pops in, assassinates him, and then skulls back into the shadows. Looks like the shadow we're paying him. Very touch are still on him. Tap into that pet. Var get hit with a stun. The immediate triggered by the hunter. Trying to see if he can scuttle away from on how. Going for the manic bandages. It's gonna be grenades getting thrown in. Var trying to see if he can back up out of it. The pet is doing a little bit of work. Maybe he could have done some assass. And how needs himself another go. Stun onto Var. Does he have any big goes here? Var could potentially feign death to remove a lot of these. Big damage onto the rogue. Does he have any more survivability? The rogue could potentially vanish out of here. Disarm onto Varg. May need to go for a vanish. Big bleeds. Oh my god, the poisons take him in. As in how was able to deliver the final blast, but the poisons already coursing through the man's veins. With Dragon, we're gonna be up next. Ray Gun. A mad Ray Gun is up next. I like your name so much. Ray Gun picking up the eyeball, so he's able to see on how. Try to go for a bit of mobility. Gonna be disintegrated around the corner, getting big procs of that Eternity Surge, which is gonna be quite a bit of damage on how. Dabs gonna vanish immediately. He decided, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. I'm gonna back up out of there before any dots are on me. The dragon tried to see if he can just obliterate the ground before him, trying to look for this rogue. Cheap shot around the corner with a Garrode. Gonna be a trinket out of Ray Gun. Is trying to go for a knockup versus rogue, using that mobility to hover with a knockup to separate away from the guy. On how is finally able to close the gap. I think went for Kingsbane, potentially the biggest poison coursing through Ray Gun's veins. Kyrian Burst with an Envenom, trying to see if he can go for an interrupt on that heal. Ray Gun got himself plenty of damage, potentially looking for their full recovery. Full dots around him, does survive it. On how trying to keep an energy, trying to throw in daggers in order to get the poisons coursing. But he's going to be able to get himself a bit of recovery behind the pillar as Ray Gun looks like he's going to be able to top himself off. 10 minutes into the duel, dampening is really starting to show and rear his ugly head. Big fire breath under the rogue does catch him. There is going to be a dot coursing on how. The dot should actually be quite substantial with a fire breath. It lasts for quite a while and burns through quite a bit of your health. Ray Gun is still in a tight spot. On how, I think at this point should have some cooldowns coming back up. Garrode into Ray Gun. Doesn't get the burst he needs though. Ray Gun tried to see if he can survive it. Cannot get CC'd. No stuns. Trying to go for damage on how just goes in for a big Envenom. That's going to be rude on Cold Ship. Trying to deny the rogue a go, but the rogue was a stealth for a second. Does get a stun on Cold Ship with a trinket to follow. Does the rogue have any outs? No, vanish for a second. Gonna be light lesser. Has a trinket. Trying to see if he can turn some damage around. Nothing left. You got cheat death at the best. But I think Cold Ship is going to take him. Wall Cold Ship not going down without a fight on this one. And that was on How's assassination, delivering quite a bit of slaughter in this arena with Alonia 3 kills, the assassination for a couple of kills. Bonebreaker does get the kill as well. Well done, boys. Let's get another going, yeah? Well done. I like that. Quite a bit of variety. I think we haven't seen pharaohs or rogues in a bit.